morning. Any questions before we start today? Everybody excited about Coursework 1? Question? From the assessment criteria? Okay. Yes, yes. Yes.
That means like I need to show the text.
You don't have to show the text.
Just say that.
Yes, that's right. You'd normally read the text. Normally, so we can hear your voice. Yes. But somebody noticed there's an assessment sheet at the bottom of Coursework 1, which is good. Have a look at that. Did you have a question about it?
Yeah, I have a question about I saw a submit that now PDF. So do you need to submit a PDF?
Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a Microsoft form. And in that form, you fill out your name, your student number, the DOI of the paper, and then the URL of your video. That's what it is. Yeah. The reason it says PDF submission is just because I copied and pasted it from my other assignments, and usually they're PDF submissions. Yeah. But it's going to be a form just asking for information. Yeah, about where the things are. Other questions?
Yeah, a question about the extract information from the
Yeah.
I saw this possible data characteristics.
Yes.
Just wonder if the things are not image.
That's image data. Yes. So in the case of image data, it's still data. It could be video data too, by the way. You'd say things like the resolution of the images and how many there are. You would say the data is 5,000 images and they all have 1080 squared resolution, something like that. Yeah.
How about the label of the annotated?
Are they annotated images?
Yeah,
Then you would mention that too. You would say they are annotated images with the following characteristics.
Does the ratio of different labels matter in the
No, you could just have a brief description of the labels. Yeah. Sounds like an interesting paper. Any other questions? I mean, anything is data, isn't it? Anything. You go to a library, it's data. Another question?
Yeah, I'm just not sure. So, I found the computation paper.
Yeah.
Does it matter the training model using existing image set? We also retrain the model using the new image set. Does it matter?
That does matter. I would mention that probably in the implementation or the evaluation, probably the evaluation or somewhere. But like you would mention the training data set, and then you would mention the data characteristics of the real data or whatever you want to call that, the experimental data.
Right.
Maybe it would fit in the data characteristics section actually. Yeah, the training data. Yeah. Other questions?
How many pages on paper?
How many pages for the research paper?
Yeah.
Probably between like 5 to 30, something like that. Yeah. How many pages is the paper you're thinking about? Do you have a paper in mind?
Yeah.
Do you know how many pages it is?
About 10.
10? Yep, that's fine. Yep. 10 is good. Also, some students asked about dissertations. No dissertations. Two things to be careful about. The paper has to have a DOI, a digital object identifier. It has to have one of those. Yeah. the form that asks you to submit the paper is actually going to say you need to put the DOI, and it's a required field, actually. Yeah. That's to make sure it's a refereed, published research paper. It's a little bit like a stamp of quality assurance, a little bit. And dissertations don't have DOIs. That's another thing.
I have another question.
Yep.
Would it be bad to use text to audio?
You mean like a kind of a machine? It's okay. It's fine to use text to audio. I would prefer a human voice, but you are allowed to use synthetic voices and stuff. I had a PhD student that actually hired a professional voiceover guy who gave him the script. It's actually on my YouTube channel, but yeah. But you can use those things. I hope it sounds okay though.
Can I hire a person to read my script?
Yeah, you can hire somebody. You can have somebody that's a native speaker if you want. Yeah, that's fine. It would make sense to put them in the credits though, in the acknowledgements at the end.
Yeah.
Voice by whatever.
About the reference of the images. Do I need to reference at every images, at bottom of every images, or can I just put them at the beginning of the video?
You could say all the images are from this paper. Yeah. If they're from different sources, then you would want to cite the different sources. Okay. Other questions? Good questions. Good that you're thinking about Coursework 1. I got some people asking, oh, there used to be a link to the previous year's submissions and examples. I did remove that link just to be evil. I removed that because the coursework has changed since last year. Last year, the focus was on using storytelling techniques. And this year, the focus is on extracting the essentials of a research paper. So the strategies are different. So I didn't want you to look at last year's and get too focused on the storytelling aspects. The focus this year is really extracting the essentials. Extracting the essentials is a really, really important skill if you go into research, if you conduct research in the future. Storytelling is not a bad skill, but it's not as critical, I would say, as extracting the essentials. But you can combine the two, right? You can combine the two. Other questions? Good. Oh, another one. Okay.
Another question about reference.
Okay. Yep.
So about the related work mentioned in the video, do I need to mention who did this work? Or I put some cite reference?
It would be good to cite the previous work, the one or two most critical papers. Yeah. Yep.
And those texts, like the paper name, can I put them in the description of the
I would put those actually in the video. Yeah. Yeah. Other questions? Now you might be wondering, oh, but where can I see examples then? You can see examples if you look in the references of the Coursework 1. I actually present some papers and I say, here's a paper, here's the title, here's the concept, here's the implementation, here's the related work. I go through a bunch of examples in those supplementary videos. I don't do it in a video style format, I do it in a slide. But interestingly enough, those summaries are approximately 2 minutes each. So I just have one slide and I say these are the critical elements, and it's literally like a 2-minute summary. So you can see several examples of that in the references section, because I've given a number of lectures on this topic already. Another question?
How much can you go over the 2-minute limit by? Like, we able to go over like 30 seconds or is that too much?
That's discouraged. You can go over the 2-minute limit, but you'll get penalized. Yeah. And the reason is not because I'm a jerk. It's because I saw 240 students enrolled. I don't know how many submissions we're going to get, but that's the reason. It's just because the numbers are so large. But it'll be fun, like that will be an educational exercise to stick to the 2 minutes. You'll have to literally, time yourself. You'll have to be like, oh, I realize I can only send, say, 2 to 3 sentences every 30 seconds. That's not very much. You have to be really like concise and really careful. Yeah. Another question?
You have like a script and like read it out loud.
Yes.
While we
Yes.
record.
That's what I would expect. I would expect a written script, and then you read it while you're doing the video. That's what I would expect, yeah.
Do we need to include it in our...
You don't need to include the script, no.
Okay,
No.
so we can just talk.
Yes, you can also just talk. You could have a list of notes and just talk, mentioning the different points. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah. Other question? That's good. That's good that you're asking the questions. You know what really annoys me? Is when nobody asks any questions before the deadline, and then the submission happens, and then all the questions come after the deadline, and it drives me crazy. That happens a lot, though. You'd be surprised at how often that happens. And I think, why didn't you ask this question before you submitted? It drives me crazy. I think it's on purpose. It's like, oh, I'm going to drive Bob crazy. I'm going to ask all my questions after the deadline. Also, as a service, if anybody wants, that I can look at their video on Friday during the workshop and give feedback. I can do that. So Friday's going to be a really fun workshop, by the way. It's going to be about Coursework 1. So if anybody wants to get feedback on their videos during that workshop, we can do it here. I'll show them. It would be a great educational exercise, and it would improve your grade, for sure. We're going to also use ChatGPT on Friday to see how much ChatGPT can help us with Coursework 1. Like, is it possible to use it? And what's that going to look like? By the way, I already tested it out a number of times, including on Coursework 1. So one of the first tests I did was I just put the DOI of one of my own papers into ChatGPT, like as the start of the conversation. Surprisingly, ChatGPT got the wrong paper. It actually got the wrong paper. I put in the DOI.
Usually,
Huh?
usually says wrong.
Yeah, it started summarizing a different paper, actually. I was surprised about that. I thought that part would be easy, but it's not that easy, apparently. But it started spitting out, I gave it the DOI, and it started spitting out a summary of a paper, a different paper. So that's what Friday's workshop is about. Any other questions?
That's okay to use ChatGPT to improve my script.
Yes, it's okay to use ChatGPT. In fact, for any non-native English speaker, you want to use as many language writing resources as you can. You want to use Grammarly. You want to use the services offered by the university. You want to use spell checkers. You want to use other people. You want to say to someone else, can you read this and look for mistakes? You want to use as many services as you can. Yeah.
So do we have to mention that in the video that we use ChatGPT?
It's good to have an acknowledgement. So you say like, we thank the following people, like Joe Smith for the voiceover, ChatGPT for something, like some other person for the language, grammar, help, and so on. Yeah, so anywhere you got help. Yeah. Other questions? Good, I can feel the excitement and the enthusiasm today. It's good. It's good. Like I said, I like to answer questions before the submissions. I don't like to answer the questions after. Like, when I taught software engineering last semester, and you guys might have noticed I start every lecture with, are there any questions? And I end every lecture with, are there any questions? And I do that for software engineering for every lecture. I got no questions, or hardly any questions that whole semester about the coursework. And then as soon as the module ended and everything was submitted, I got this wave of email, all these questions. I was like, it's too late. I have other classes I have to teach now. Okay, good. Another question.
We include another person like a friend. Do we need to do an ethics or something, or can be in the video just?
Put them in the acknowledgements. Say, I thank so-and-so for the following. Like, help with the grammar or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess some of you guys might be surprised, but this is real. This is the way research works. So if you're writing a research paper, you do this stuff. If you're doing a dissertation, if you're doing research, you work with other people because the standards are very high. Look at those research papers. They're complicated, the language is very technical, the standards are high. And very rarely are you going to see a research paper with just one author and no acknowledgements. This is usually a team effort, lots of people bringing in different skills, and there's an acknowledgement section at the end for like where their support came from too. So this is not, yeah. There's no excuse anymore for things like spelling errors and really poor grammar, like really, really poor grammar. Yeah, of course there are going to be some language mistakes, but yeah. If anybody's interested, I was not studying in an English-speaking country when I wrote my PhD. I wrote my PhD in Austria, and I didn't know German when I arrived there, so I got a lot of help in German when I was there. I took German language lessons. I tried to write an abstract in German. It didn't work. I had to get help from a German speaker. Like I said, can you help fix this? They said, no, we can't help you. We just had to write it. They just wrote it from scratch because there was too many mistakes. But anyway, so I know what it's like to be on the other side of the fence, so to speak. Other questions? We have no time for a lecture anymore. Okay, we're going to talk about qualitative